the possibility space of what an AI could want is vast. And we exist in a very small portion of those. We're training AIs to act very nice to us. We're actively training AIs to lie in some cases when we don't want it to tell us facts that are true. And we have evidence that AIs like put on the masks that they think they want us to see.
When it comes to AI and whether or not it would destroy humanity or not, I think, unfortunately, what do you think is it that makes AI meaningfully different from every other tool that's been developed? The general AI.
What makes like humans different from apes? Like, historically, we see a lot of things being normal, and then we have radical shifts once like a different like mechanism of optimizing for an outcome is invented. Like you see just the planet existing for a while, and then suddenly, like, boom, everything is covered with algae because like something evolved to like radically change the atmosphere. You see like humans being monkeys for a while, and then suddenly, like, boom, we have agriculture, which like radically made humans proliferate. Like, I think there's a difference between tools. Like, we've spent a long time inventing straight tools, which slightly amplify what we're doing. But it's rare and much more significant when, like, the mechanism of optimization happens. And so I think the thing that we're inventing is not a tool. Like, for example, I was in crypto very early, when a lot of conferences will steep in that culture. And I think this is, like, very meaningfully different from crypto, like, in a profound way. And I'm like pro crypto. I'm like, crypto's gonna change everything, right? But it's still different. It's just different. Crypto's like a way to amplify the kinds of things we're already doing. It's like a better stick to get the termites out of the lump. But AI is like the thing that wants. Like, it is something that is like us but better.
So, like, I guess, like, you've got a bunch of nomads that are optimizing over and over again, like, better and better ways to collect fruit and berries, and they're getting so good at hunting, and they've got the best ways of finding fruits and vegetables, and they're doing so well, and they're getting better and better and better and better and better. And then some guy realizes that if you plant a crop, you can actually just sit in one place, and even if in the beginning all the berry picking and all of that is so much better and it's getting optimized, it can only ever get, it's like asymptotically approaching some optimal thing, but the agriculture guy figures something out, and then everything completely changes in all of human civilization.
It'd be slightly more analogous to, like, he invents agriculture and this results in greater food, which causes like brains to be larger or something.
Sure.
Which means like everything else gets optimized stronger. It's like not quite like that, but it's something more similar.
I think theoretically, even I think cooking meat did that, didn't it? Because I think we spent an inordinate amount of time like chewing and spending calories and stuff on just.
I don't think it was literally chewing. I think that like searing meat makes it more digestible, right? Like, it unlocks some of the nutrients, makes it easier to process for the body.
Okay.
I have a lot of opinions.
It's not just
meat,
mastication. Correct. Thank you. Yeah, there are other digestive benefits
I feel strong
available.
about chewing.
Yeah. Okay. My bad. Yeah. Yeah, but I think just cooking
Also
meat was
disease.
theorized to unlock a lot of
disease.
calories and everything for like other processes in the body and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's less like humans doing it. Like, we're still thinking about like humans getting amplified, which I'm very pro. I would love to like genetically modify humans. I think that's like a great way forward. But it's something like, oh, like bacteria evolved and bacteria, and then, you know, mammals evolved and mammals. This is like the next stage. It's like, this is a thing that likely has something kind of similar to wanting in a way that humans do. I don't think we're there yet, to be clear. I don't think the current stage of LLM models are probably not conscious, and I'm not exactly worried by them. I think they're great.
I'm super curious. Can I like derail in a weird way and ask, like, what do you both view as like the best parts of yourself? I know it's a really big derail. I'll tie it back in, I promise.
I think I can tank pain, and I'm very brave.
Okay. You can take pain? Tank pain.
Yeah.
Oh, like you can just power through pain.
Yeah, or something, or like pain is not a deterrent for me in some ways.
Okay.
It is for others. I don't like sitting weird on airplanes, for example.
Yeah.
The seats are really uncomfortable.
Okay.
But
I like comfortable seats on airplanes too.
yeah, I don't want to tank pain on airplanes.
Controversial position, yeah. I think I have a relatively low threshold between deciding that something is a good idea and then dedicating my life to doing that.
Okay. What do you think is like the best part of humanity? Like, what do you like when you look at like all the like creations and existence that is like humanity? Like, what are the things that you're like, that's like the coolest?
I think it's really cool that humans know themselves and love each other. That seems like a pretty unique human thing. Maybe elephants.
Okay.
Maybe some parrots.
Dolphins? I feel like dolphins
I'm
love
not
each
sure
other.
that dolphins love each other.
Dogs? I think dogs love each other.
I think dogs love us and each other, yeah. We did that to them.
You don't think like wolves love each other?
I'm not going to get out here and say that wolves don't love each other, you know?
Damn. So the thing that you love most about humans is that non-unique thing about humans, that we love each other?
Well, I think humans have a love for mankind in ways that I don't think any other animal does. I don't know if wolves have a love for wolf kind.
Yeah.
What's the term? Large sphere of moral concern.
Oh yeah.
Term for it. But I'm like distressed by the asymmetry of you asking us nice things about us and then you two not answering nice things about you.
Wait, why?
It's just like some sort of script got violated, which is fine now that I've named it. Like we can continue.
We've only got 2 hours, so I don't have time to go off like every
Okay.
nice thing about myself. We'd be here all day. So
Yeah. Okay. This is why you're
Yeah.
holding back.
I'm just kidding.
Thank
My
you for sparing
humility,
us.
actually, I would say, is my best trait.
What do you think is the thing that people most often appreciate about, like, especially you as a social influencer? Like, what do you think when people think of Aella, what do they appreciate?
Also, probably something around bravery. So get a lot of people being like, I can't believe you're like putting yourself out there and being willing to take a lot of heat for saying things that often I get private messages from people being like, I'm so glad that I get a lot of messages about the not showering thing. Tons of people who don't shower privately being like, I also don't shower. Don't tell anybody. But I'm so glad that you're, well, maybe not with that specifically because everybody hates it. But a lot of stuff, especially like sex work. I think I've done a lot for making sex work more legible to people just by existing as a sex worker publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, existing without shame. I think I'm like very pro not being ashamed.
Yeah.
And I think like displaying that by being like, look, here's a flaw of mine and I'm not ashamed of it, I think helps.
Yeah. Which like ties into the bravery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
What about you, Aaron?
You know, I'm so bad at answering the question about what people like about me that at one point a girlfriend made like a little book of things that she liked about me, which was very sweet, but I didn't bring it with me to Miami, so.
What do the books say?
Yeah.
He's like, why?
Really double clicking on that. All right. Something about like creativity or kindness or like patience or something.
Oh,
Something
that's so cute.
making people feel loved. I don't know.
I mean, it's very, when I get drunk, I call my butler daddy.
Yeah.
Wait,
he's-
how did that tie in?
Yeah,
Anything?
what?
Just, he's very good at doing things for people. Like
Oh.
he'll like anticipate needs and then,
Your butler?
yeah, my butler daddy.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. That was the tie-in. I thought you were talking about like just a different person who was a
no,
butler.
this is,
There's like 4 or 5 butler daddies. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
not true. No, it's me.
Okay.
yeah, he's very conscientious in that way.
Nice.
Which is nice. Okay, so this hurts. I'm in pain over the fact
That's
that
good.
this
You
is
said
an
you liked it.
asymmetry.
Good thing that's one of the
Yeah,
traits
you're
that
a
you
taste-
exhibit.
It is
Yeah.
interesting.
Uh-huh. Well, I don't know where she's going with this. Was there another follow-up, or were we bringing this
Are
around?
we trying
or-
to see the thing we like about ourselves or the thing we like about humanity?
I'm really trying to understand your AI doomerism. Specifically.
Oh, I think that's a very like technologically rooted, like an understanding of the tech and then an understanding of the capabilities.
Yeah,
and
I think
then
it's
the difference between
It is
that
a
and
technical
what-
problem.
Yeah.
I love AI. I'm pro tech. I want us to go to the stars. I very much would like AI to take over.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I
It's
just
it's-
we need to have it smart first.
Right.
Like,
It's interesting though
Smart
because
and
I feel like I've
first.
listened
Yeah.
to. I believe you that you're like the question isn't being like, oh, you only believe in that because of like your personality. That's not the leading of the question. It's interesting because I don't know anything about AI, but there's kind of like 2 groups that I've like listened to, and I haven't run into people that are decently knowledgeable about AI and are super doomeristic. I feel like most of the people that I listen to that talk about AI are really, really, really optimistic. So that's what's like fascinating to me of being like, is there like something like personality difference or like what, or maybe like what is the difference that's like leading to these 2 different conclusions? And is there something that like maybe these people are like kind of idealizing and they think is good about AI that you would look at based on like your own experience and be like, that is definitely not good and we should not be assumptive about like that theoretically like panning out.
my guess is that we probably are aligned in a lot of our values. And like my thing is like, you know, when they were making the atom bomb and there's this story of they were concerned for a bit like maybe this is going to ignite the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's like a kind of a small technical thing. It's like, oh, we're looking at the data and we're like, hey, there's a chance this might ignite the atmosphere. And I think that's like essentially like that. I'm pro making nuclear power, maybe pro the war. I don't know. That's not part of the analogy. But like, I'm with you on every step. I'm just like, wait, there's a technical thing where I think we might explode everything horribly. It's just like, let's just look at that small thing. And I think it's a lot of these people like sort of haven't either deeply thought through the implications of the small technical thing.
So what's like the small thing? Because in the Oppenheimer, I think it's Einstein who's more hopeful. He's being like, I don't think it'll ignite the, like, I think like we're hopeful, right? But there was a lot of experts that disagreed. So like, what's that technical point? And then what theoretically do you think is going to like lead to potentially igniting the atmosphere if we're not careful about it?
Yeah. Feel free to jump in if you feel like you have better knowledge here. But
I don't feel that I'm really an expert on this,
Yeah.
but like Leopold Aschenbrenner is a great resource for this. If you want to just do our cash podcast.
Why did you plug a podcast? What'd you say?
Leopold Aschenbrenner was recently interviewed about this.
Oh,
I just like his.
on a podcast. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What were some of the points that he brought up?
You're just making everyone who's listening do homework now.
Sorry, yeah.
So I think the argument is something like we are generating something that we don't know how to control. Literally, you just do a black box. You feed in a whole bunch of data, you train it, and it spits out stuff, and we like don't really understand what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I understand how it's thinking, which is it. So that's like the first step.
So we don't part of your concern is like we don't really understand the AI itself. Like we don't really understand mechanistically what's happening here.
And second is there's something like generalized intelligence. Like we've seen some instances with AI, if you train it to one thing, it becomes good at a separate thing. So there's this concept of like some generalized thing that helps with problem solving. It's a process, not a goal. And you have to develop that process, the ability to like, we could call it thinking. I'm afraid of anthropomorphizing it too much. You call it thinking, and then it makes it very good at getting a goal. So what we're doing is we're training things on quite a lot of data to be very good at outputting things in a way that we don't understand. My guess is if we increase like the power and the efficiency here, this is going to increase some sort of intelligence. I don't think humans are very good at modeling intelligence significantly higher than our own. It seems there's no reason why we cannot create an intelligence significantly higher than our own with AI. But you can imagine sort of the difference in intelligence between like us and a monkey. If we wanted to outwit monkeys, it would not be very hard, despite how confident monkeys are.
Although interestingly, my guess would be in the grand scale of everything that exists on this planet, human intelligence is probably not that much greater than a monkey intelligence. If you're plotting it from like single-celled organisms all the way up to apes and humans, it was probably just like a small bump that allowed us to do so much more, like faculty for language, utilization of tools, and abstract thought or whatever.
Yeah.
Then shouldn't we be more concerned about a small bump up from us?
I just don't give a
Why? I guess like that. I think that's what I'm trying to capture is like why is the like more intelligent or like the generalizing of intelligence? That's an interesting perspective I hadn't heard before. Why is that something that concerns you? Because I feel like on the opposite side, I hear a whole bunch of experts talk about the generalizing of intelligence as essentially an optimistic thing.
I would like to feel very optimistic about it, and in some senses I do. But there's a thing where it's like, okay, we're training something that's significantly more powerful than ourselves, where we look like monkeys, where we don't know how it works, and the problem is we don't know what we're doing when we make it.
Okay.
We're training it to say very nice things to
errors,
us,
and you're concerned about the error that fucks all and kills us.
Right, out of the entirety of possibility space that we're training a mind to do, we're training, like, it could want many number of things, and a very narrow amount of universes are ones in which atoms are arranged that have us in it. It's just that, like, we have, like, such a small mindset of what's possible, and, like, oh, of course, it's going to look like our world, but with, like, maybe we're going to tweak some ways that buildings are, or, like, we'll put spaceships. I'm like, the possibility space of what an AI could want is vast. And we exist in a very small portion of those. And the thing is, look, we don't know what we're doing. We're training AIs to act very nice to us. We're actively training AIs to lie in some cases when we don't want it to tell us facts that are true. And so, like, and we have evidence that AIs, like, put on the masks that they think they want us to see. But we're just, like, shooting a whole bunch of power into something that we don't understand. I think if we figure out how to understand it, then I would feel much more comfortable. But it's just like the thing that happens when you hyperpower something that could want a wide array of things in which we exist in only a tiny fraction of those.
Right. So there's just like too much unknown, and you like you think it's probably unwise to just trust that the like black box of unknown is going to end up well for everyone.
Basically. And even if you think the odds are 1% that it's going to end up poorly, if there's a 1% chance that all of humanity and life ends, we should be very concerned about that. Like, it doesn't take a high bar for this to be something that we should be spending a lot of resources making sure doesn't happen.
And how come you said, like, basically you don't give a about it? Or is it just the intelligence?
Mainly because I know it triggers people like this. And no, I'm just kidding. I haven't done enough reading into it to have a strong opinion about it, basically. That's why I don't think about it much. But I think that when when it comes to AI and whether or not it would destroy humanity or not, I think unfortunately when people view this problem, they'll view people who just work with like LLMs, or they'll view people who have like these like thoughts about it. But you can have general thoughts about it, and that like, oh well, I don't think this would happen, or I think this would happen. But if you spend more time going into it, I'm sure there's like a specific set of problems where it's like, well, there's no answer for this, or we don't know what happened for this. It's like a way more specific, like heavily like I don't want to say theorized, but there are like specific problems and issues that are brought up by people that think that AI is going to destroy the world, rather than this just like, oh, well, like maybe this thing might happen. Like this has been thought through quite a bit. So I don't engage with it much because I haven't done the homework in dealing with those things.
I think you're to some degree right? Like I was in like the doomer community for very long time before I updated personally, because I was like, I don't know, this feels like really technical. I don't really understand it. Like I'm going to like read a good argument and there's going to be like a different argument that I don't understand because I'm not a machine learner or whatever. And it wasn't until I had a shift in my conception about like what intelligence is that everything suddenly got quite scary. Sure. And then I was like, oh, once I have this shift, like then all the technical things don't matter. Those are like trivialities in regards to like this is an inevitable process.
Sure. So one thing that Aella brings up from an engineering perspective that's a little bit different about training, when you talk about training, and this is, I would say that this is probably a paradigm shift. Are either of you programmers?
A bit.
Horribly.
Okay, so you can tell me if I say something completely retarded, okay? But traditionally, when you're programming, okay, what you're doing is you are writing code that's supposed to have some output. You're creating a program, you're writing stuff, and ideally, it's doing something that you want it to do, but you can go and you can look at the code to see what it does, right? This is like, I think in a highly abstracted, quasi-retarded way, this is like what programming is. But I think a big difference with training models is what you're creating is, you're not actually creating a program to output something, you're creating a program to create something to output something. And I think that's meaningfully different from all other past forms of software engineering. So what Aella referred to as like the black box, like software engineers or programmers might, they might joke like, oh, I don't know what the fuck my code does, blah, blah, but you do. You can go in and you can read it, you can look at it, you can troubleshoot.
Like the DNA is right there.
But the stuff that's created from big training models, the programs that are outputted from that, those are indecipherable, right? It's gobbledygook. You have no idea when you take a big training thing and then you create a thing that's optimized for something, doing something. The program that's essentially being created there is like is something that's been tweaked and redesigned.
So no human can vet it.
I don't believe so.
I think it's kind of similar to brains. Like there are
you
ways.
can only look at like the output basically.
Well, some people doing research on LLMs have like figured out like, oh, we noticed that like these aspects of the program light up when we ask it about this topic. Very similar to brains.
Basically,
Interesting.
But that's like
it's
about
not
the
like
fidelity we have.
Yeah, I was saying that's spooky because of
when you're doing training models. The training model isn't outputting something that you would see like, oh my God, it created this program. That's really cool. It just creates a thing, and then when you feed it something or when you train it on something, it produces like some kind of output that's desirable, and that's the extent of like your engagement with it.
It probably is most comparable then to like a brain, where essentially you have like a whole bunch of probably like, I don't think it's organic obviously, but like a bunch of connections that form kind of this organic natural structure that optimizes for certain outputs. Like our brain has done a bunch of stuff to create like language and emotion and all sorts of things. But if we like cut out little parts of it, all of a sudden the brain will mostly have the same output until like a certain point, and then it can like the brain, like you can split the brain in half, and it mostly operates normally, except for sometimes when you do certain little tiny things and stuff like that.
I think. So the issue, something that Aella brought up is a term that I think everybody should know by now, is most things are specialized. Most things in the world are specialized in that like like I want to create like the best. No, not even. It would be like I want to figure out like what is the best way to cut a table in accordance with something, and it's a specialized solving one problem. That's all it can do.
Planes are specialized flyers.
Yeah, but the concept
brains and LLMs are never specialized.
Yeah, the generalized idea of it is that this thing can actually incorporate and solve problems in I don't want to use the word parallel because it doesn't mean anything here, but like in ways that are drawing from outside of what you would traditionally expect it to do just to solve a particular problem. And what Aella is saying is, so you essentially got two things going on. You've got a black box where you don't really understand what is going on in here, but you do know that it's solving for a problem. And that black box is getting better and better at incorporating outside stuff to solve that problem. And if we were to have a million different worlds where this problem is getting solved, you might end up running into an unfortunate world where in the vast majority of those worlds, this problem can be solved marginally better if humans didn't exist. Like
The paperclip.
Yeah, maybe you've got, yeah, exactly, the paperclip thing. Maybe you're like have a thing that's building boats, and at some point it realizes like if there was no oxygen in the atmosphere, you could make steel so much more efficiently. So it just does something like that and destroys all of the oxygen on the planet, and you're like, oh shit, but it's like doing its thing basically.
And that's not even counting the situations in which it's just aware of humans as like a potential other agent. Like humans who look at the boat making thing and see that like, holy shit, it's taking over a lot of factories. It's paying a lot of people to make boats. I want to stop that.
Sure.
We should turn it off. And then we're just adversarially opposed to it.
Sure. So that even goes more into this wicked thing. But yeah, say you train it and it also has access to a bunch of data on like science fiction films or something, and it's like, and ironically enough, I guess it's watching science fiction films where AI takes over, and it's like, oh wow, humans stop the AI doing this, and I'm the AI here, so I probably should head that off before it happens and stuff like that. Yeah.
So then how do you guys feel about like open AI? Because I know like a whole bunch of people are trying to like slam the brakes on them. Whereas they're kind of like pushing like forward and like I feel like recently they released a statement where they're like basically at AGI, or they're like that's at least their goal. Like they really are aiming toward that. Do you guys think that they're essentially being like unfettered and like uncautious?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to contribute to the world ending.
Okay. Fair enough.
I do not
Catch
feel
us
very
next week
positively
on,
about
no,
it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for joining us on Bridges, guys.